This episode is sponsored by the Paper Trails Greeting Company. Runners near and far, hear ye, hear ye. There's an amazing company that's dedicated to celebrating and encouraging every runner that laces up a pair of running shoes, and it's called the Paper Trails Greeting Company. This company offers something that's hard to replicate in a text message, and that is a physical, innovative, and genuine note of kindness that supports and celebrates every runner. The motto of the company is that every runner belongs, and each card proves that. The cards preach community among all runners, and there's a card for each season of a runner's journey. If you've run a new personal best, there's a card that celebrates that. If you suffered an injury, there's a card that lets you know that someone is thinking of you and that you'll come back even stronger. There's even a card that celebrates your significant running other. For me personally, I never felt like a runner. But then I stumbled across the Paper Trails Greeting Company, and it inspired me to pick up running again, and eventually it made me feel like I was a part of the running community. Go on their website, papertrailsgreetingco.com, and check out their incredible selection of cards. Use the code Lactic Acid in all caps for 15% off your order. They also have inspirational stickers and PDF printouts, so be sure to check those out as well. Then follow them on their social media page on Instagram, Paper Trails Greeting Co., as well on Facebook. And always remember to celebrate every runner and that every runner belongs. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, saints and ain'ts, and welcome to Lactic Acid, the podcast where the takes are fresh, the ideas are right, and that makes us the best in the bunch. I am your host, Dominique Smith, and today I am super pumped to bring to you one of the world's greatest javelin throwers, one of the world's greatest people. Obviously, it's our first time interacting, but I followed her for a while, and she brings joy to everyone she comes across, and she probably throws objects faster than you can run and farther than you can run. That is for sure. She is Ms. Kara Winger. What's going on? I appreciate you coming on the show.
Hello, I'm wonderful. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. A fresh take is always a good thing. So I've been in the game a long time, and I'm really looking forward to this new spin on a podcast.
Hey, that's what we're about here. Fresh takes, ripe ideas. Sometimes I forget to mention that, but hey, that's what the goal of the podcast is about. We don't like to do what everyone else does. We like to be different. And so here is a different question that I'm going to ask you that I'm not sure if you've ever been asked, but I ask all the guests this question. If you had to pick a superhero to describe your game as a javelin thrower, who are you rolling with?
Oh my gosh, I'm so not well versed in superheroes.
We can adjust to what you are well versed in. So we can do a superhero, we can do a movie character, or a television character.
I'm gonna say Kimmy Schmidt from Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, because I don't think I am that notoriously positive. However, I feel like the resilience is there, and I try to come to stuff with an open mind, and sometimes that means sort of like Kimmy Schmidt, like if I'm trapped in a bunker for a while, I'm going to approach something like with no knowledge about it and open to learning about that thing. So I love that show, A, and B, try to have fresh perspective and move beyond like what I've experienced in the past, overcome stuff.
Well, you resemble Kimmy Schmidt because you guys are the GOAT. Ellie Kemper is like, whether it's Aaron or Kimmy, or I forgot the other character she played. I think she played in, was it Bridesmaids or something like that?
Yeah. Yes. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, her characters are like, I don't know, they're spot on. So that is actually, I haven't seen too many episodes. I've seen a few, enough to understand the reference, and I am totally down with it. I appreciate you coming on the show. And so we're going to talk a little track and field, but there's some other topics we're going to get to that I'm super pumped about. Definitely excited to get a chance to know you more for our audience too as well. But I have a special place for throwers in my heart. It is one of the most underrated, underappreciated, severely misrepresented arts in sports. It is far difficult. I threw the shot put in the discus. Mm-hmm. Javelin in Florida, until a couple years ago, they banned it because somebody got hit.
Right. The javelin community was very excited when Florida and Georgia like re-implemented the javelin in high school.
And just covering high school track and field, like there's some talent in it, that event. And it's like it's so difficult to do. There's so many nuances about it that people don't understand. Why did you choose that event?
I really stumbled into the javelin. I tried like everything growing up, every single sport, team, individual. I loved swimming. It was one of the hardest sports I've ever done. Still to this day, swimming has a place in my training, and it's just as difficult as it ever was, like in really hard sets in high school. So love swimming, loved the individual challenge of swimming. But then my freshman year of high school, just didn't know what I was going to do in the spring. Like I had played softball. I tried track in 8th grade. I didn't love it. I didn't have javelin available to me in middle school, but I didn't really have any other options. So I was like, sure, let me go out for track again. After my geometry teacher was like, Kara, you should throw the javelin. And he was the track coach. So I really had somebody, his son was in my grade. So I knew him, like I knew this person who was my teacher, but also someone who'd paid attention to my life more than just in the classroom. So he knew what my talents were. He knew that I could be good, but I was really just approaching it for something to do. Like I was going to be bored in the spring without a sport to do. So I went out for it and it went really well. So it's the last sport I ever tried. Exactly like you said, the nuance of it is my favorite thing. There's always something to improve. Even when I've been coming back from injuries, focusing on other technical aspects of a throw, just let you mentally be able to like get through something that's painful, because there's so much to do. And it can be as simple or complicated as you make it, but the fact that it can be complicated means you can focus on something else when one part of it isn't going very well. So I just always think you can get something out of any practice, and that's my favorite.
So the javelin life kind of showed you.
It sure did. Yes, 100% for 20 years now.
Hey, that's what's up. I think the craziest thing about it, and I, fell victim to it, and I kind of had to look into it more. It's not, it's people think it's like, oh, look at the flick of the wrist. It's like throwing a football. No, it's actually more so with your legs than it is your arm. What are
and that's like with my knee injuries, I apologize for interrupting you. I've torn my ACL twice, and that's exactly like when people don't know about javelin, they're like, how'd you tear your ACL throwing the javelin 2 times? I'm like, if you watch it, I sprint and stop on that leg and it moves the wrong way and you're done. So it's all about the legs.
Yes. So if you're a high schooler, middle schooler interested in throwing the javelin, don't skip leg day.
No.
That's definitely, and it's one of the unique things, and there's so much science involved. Like I was not good at math, but it's like the arm, if I'm messing this up, please correct me. It's like the arm has to connect energy to the leg, and then there's a lot of hip movement because you have to have fluidity in your hips and everything. It is, I don't know. It was, the more I know about it and the more I learn about it, the more fun it is to watch. Because, I'll be watching the TV and I don't know what I'm doing. And it's like, oh, like somebody needs to do some hurdle drills. He looks a little stiff in that throw. Like I'm not an expert by any means, but it's actually, kind of fun, to me. For you, what's a myth about the javelin that you would want debunked?
I mean, exactly what you said, that it's your arms rather than your legs, because that's not true whatsoever. It's an entire full body movement. But one of my favorite things, like when you're talking about the more you know, the more fun it is to watch. One of my favorite things about really good coaches in all of the throws, like it's interesting when people think javelin is the outlier, like really it's hammer that's the outlier.
Oh my
like,
gosh.
If you're a rotational shot putter, if you're a discus thrower, if you're a javelin thrower, you're doing really similar things like with your legs. It's just in a different direction, but there is a rotational component to the javelin. We're all getting power from the ground, from double support, like at the end of the throw, and getting separation, chest and hips. Like that's what the throw is. And if you understand that as a rotational throws coach, like you can be a really good javelin coach as well. It's just about like controlling the implement in a little bit different way. So that's a thing that I really want like coaches in the United States to understand, to elevate the level of the javelin, is that concepts in rotational throws can be applied really well to the javelin at the end of that runway.
Do you do some of the same drills that the discus throwers and the shot put? Now, when I threw the shot put, it was a glide, but I did the full spin with the discus. Do you do some of the same drill? The hammer is a different beast. That just makes me nervous. But is that, like I said, is there any crossover in the drills that you do to kind of work on the movement and getting power from the ground, as you said?
Yes. And I never threw shot or disc. I had a little bit of discus in middle school, but when you mentioned the glide, actually, like that's probably a better application to the javelin, like the glide across the ring and then the turn of the foot in the middle. Like you're trying not to stomp your right foot down too far back in the ring so that you extend your base. Like you really want to keep your feet under you and turn through the ball / javelin. So really similar stuff. I used to do ball throws that were very much like face the opposite direction and then throw up over the top like you would a shot put stand throw if you're a glider, but in a javelin way, like up over the top rather than through on your neck. So there's a lot of transferability, and that's the myth I would like debunked, that like throws coaches can't be javelin coaches, because there's much similarity.
This is like Christmas for me, because no one ever talks about the throws. We all, we talk about distance and the sprints, and really we don't talk about field events like we should. There's such a high degree of difficulty to them, but you've done a great job over the years, bringing, awareness to it by your consistency, which has been incredibly impressive, and how you've been able to overcome the different obstacles and challenges in your career. Have you considered coaching?
Kind of. I would love to do camps. I don't necessarily want to do like full-time coaching. I coached a kid twice a week all year last year, and that was like my most consistent gig as a coach. I've done like very much one-off like practices with people over the years, but this was like the most consistent over 1 year. Unfortunately, because of COVID and the situation that he was in, we didn't get to compete that much, but the one competition that he did went really well. So it was a really rewarding experience. I had a lot going on in 2021. So it was a lot for me, but I'm very happy like with the outcome. It just kind of reinforced the fact that I want to keep involved with it, but I have like some fun ideas for camps that involve javelin and the outdoors, more so than like just javelin. Like I think you have to take a step back and understand that you have to move your body in other ways too to be a really good athlete, and talking about it, giving yourself time to like absorb lessons and then go back to a throw is really important too. So having space for that in a camp, I think would be really fun.
I like that. That's enough of this track talk for now.
Yes.
I have one more question at some point in the episode, and that's just kind of referring to that the end of the Olympics. But I want to know about you outside of the track. And I think that's what the fans do as well. So what is it about you that makes you unique? What are some of the things you like, hobbies, all that stuff? Tell the people what they want to hear.
So I've recently realized this, and this is a little bit vulnerable. Like I started therapy right before New Year's to prepare for my last season and really like try to get everything out of it that I can. I also have this like full-time job now, and that's a little wild. So being exposed to like more kinds of people than I ever did just as an athlete has been really interesting. And what I have realized about myself is that my true like luck in life, like privilege, is that I haven't been hurt in a way that makes me not vulnerable to like people. Like I enjoy sharing. I like to feel my feelings. I've never like had experiences, thanks to like a lovely family, a lot of lucky breaks, and maybe some resilience. Like I've never felt like that was not okay to be vulnerable with people and share. And I think that based on what I've seen, that's what's different about me, is I'm very open, even with the hard stuff, with kind of everyone that I meet. And maybe that helps people learn about javelin from me, but hopefully about like resilience in all of its forms as well.
It seems like that's more of a life ordeal. Javelin literally comes and goes. Like I said, not even, focusing on track, but you seem just, and this is from an outsider's point of view, that you're someone that people gravitate towards. I mean, I've seen it, and it's not gravitate towards like, oh, she's cool, but there's a genuineness about you that draws people, that makes them want to be around you, and it gives you kind of a platform, to spread kindness and, spread cheer. You mentioned that, you had therapy and, without going into, detail about that, but what is it that changed? And I'm talking specifically outside of the track. You have an incredible reputation, on the track and with your peers and everything, but what is it about you that you think changed in that process that I guess helps you to relate to people?
I think, like I said, like starting this full-time job, it was really challenging. So I mentioned that 2021, I had a lot going on. I was coaching, I was volunteering with USATF on the athlete advisory committee and the board. I had the full-time job. I was recovering from my second ACL surgery. And I spend a lot of time by myself. My husband works like out of town a lot. So I'm trying to like take care of our dog, like while healing from surgery. And it was just a lot all at the same time. And like the hardest part was knowing how to be an athlete and even knowing how to recover from injury, also knowing how to coach, but I didn't know how to be an employee and like kind of process like the, not necessarily criticisms, but self-criticism sometimes, because it's just a whole new universe. Right. So the therapy thing was really about my last season and wanting to get absolutely everything out of it that I can. Like I want to take advantage of every opportunity. My real goal is to just have a blast. Yeah. But if I can like do that better with help from somebody, that would be great. So I think I really worked through a lot of like the insecurities about being an employee on my own, but it's really reinforcing the fact that I have done that. I've like put boundaries in place so that I can just be an employee and an athlete rather than all of those other things in this last year, and really take advantage of those situations. So I don't know that I've changed. I think I've just become aware of how to direct my energy.
I like that. I like that. And it's cool because it's like your identity is not solely in sport. Like you found purpose outside of sport. What are some of the things that you're looking forward to when it's all said and done? Like what are some of the different, have you found like an avenue or something that you like, okay, I want to do this, and help people in this way, and like I said, shift your energy to the next phase?
So further foreshadowing that event at the end of the Olympics in Tokyo, I would love to speak more. I've really enjoyed like some of the, not necessarily motivational speeches, but that's kind of what they turn into. I've been able to do a lot of that actually through the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs. And in Chula Vista as well, like I spoke to people. I've had random opportunities over 13 years being a resident athlete at Olympic and Paralympic training centers. So I always really enjoy like catering the message to the group that I'm speaking to. I've been to a couple different speaking conferences, and there's a little bit of imposter syndrome when you're not a medalist, right? But more people are not medalists than are medalists. And being aware of that, like through my experience in Tokyo and through all of the messages that I got from so many teammates who also didn't reach the podium, makes me understand like how many people out there like can learn from my experience, but more so just the idea that doing your best is enough. Yeah. And I would love to talk to more people about that. So I will keep working full time. I'm really excited about where I'm at in my job. Like it's become a really fun place for me every day, especially working from home. Like I'm alone when my husband's out of town, but I have like these work friends, and it's a really good atmosphere now. I also work for women athletes. Like we are a company that is focused solely on a community that I am a very passionate member of. So it's rewarding in that way too. But I know that when I stop throwing, I will have a void in my life, and only having one job will probably not be enough. So having this like speaking idea is exciting to me. But I'm also very good at being a homebody. I had COVID last week. I will tell the audience that happened. Very annoying being vaccinated and boosted and still getting it, but it's fine. I was mild, not a big deal. I'm back in the world. But I love being home with my dog. Like, I do my workouts on my deck. I can, fix up the backyard in an hour when I don't have anywhere to go. Like, I realized in the past week that I'm going to be fine as a retired person from sport, like doing my home workouts with my animal. Like, I am going to really enjoy that forever. And when I'm done enjoying it, I'll find something new because I'm creative and I can fill my time, and I know I'll be okay. Like, having COVID really helped me understand that.
There you go. It's like looking at the glass half full instead of half empty. And the kind of I'm I don't think people realize, and not to touch on this too much, but it is hard to do well in high school. It's even harder to do well in college. But to achieve the success that you have, like, forget the medals. Like, seriously, your impact is so much bigger than being on the medal stand. I think maybe it's a society issue. Like, you're everybody has to debate who's the GOAT. Is it Tom Brady, or is it this person? Or is it LeBron, or is it MJ, or is it Wayne Gretzky, or is it Sidney Crosby, or is it Messi, Ronaldo? And the first thing is like, okay, how many championships do they have? And it's like, it doesn't, it's different. Like, I don't know. And I think I hate that kind of aspect of society. Like, hey, you didn't get to the medal stand, you didn't have your career. And it's like, no, you're doing something that 99% of the human population can't even imagine doing, which is such a remarkable, accomplishment in itself. I watched a javelin and I have to take a muscle relaxer because it like it's like, I mean, maybe having, competed in the shot put and just understanding certain things, but it's like, man, like the work that goes into that, like the yearly work, I was like, nah, I'm not about that life,
for 20 years.
For 20 years, I'm 27. And so for you, like, to do that for 2 decades, I mean, like, you are like the Lactic Acid hero of the year.
Thank you.
So I do think that's awesome. And it's so funny, like, when you talk about working out at home, like, if you're not comfortable in your own house, like, where else can you be comfortable with?
Yeah.
So with your dog, what kind of dog do you have?
She's a yellow lab. Her name is Maddie. She's my favorite creature in the whole world. We looked into her, adopted her 5 years ago. She's 7. And I just am so proud of her. She came from a not great background and she has just flourished. And it makes me really proud to have provided a great atmosphere for her. She's wonderful.
Oh gosh, especially if she's helping with workouts. I saw this Instagram video of like a dog. He was the spotter for someone doing crunches or whatever it might be. So when it comes
when they put their paws on the knees and they're doing the crunches,
and then you have to sit, touch them, and then the bench press, you can, I don't know, they make wonderful companions. Definitely. One thing that I noticed that I think is really cool, being a Floridian, we have so many lakes and everything here. You know what you're doing when it comes to fishing. So I don't even know. It looked like a shark.
It was a shark, yes.
Okay, so good. I know I'm not losing my mind. Please tell me about that. You caught a shark, and it wasn't even on Shark Week.
I love Shark Week. I used to subscribe to Shark Week so it would download to my laptop when I was in Europe and I could have a taste of home. It's wonderful. I am not well versed in fishing. Russ Winger, the guy that I married, former shot putter and discus thrower, is a fly fishing guide. and avid fisherman. So angler, I believe is the word. We have fish in Florida. His uncle lives in Sebastian, Florida, on the Pacific Atlantic side. Sorry, yeah. But the nurse shark on my Instagram, he was in Belize. We were out on a guided trip. These guys were wonderful. I really enjoy, since he's a guide, like seeing guides do really good work and like paying them for that, as you should. We tipped them like crazy. It was such a good experience on that trip as well. The guide, he got in the water. His name is Jerry. And there are lobsters, they're spiny lobsters in Belize, where we were on vacation beginning of December. So he dives down, he has his spear gun, and he's like looking for the lobsters in the coral. This guy's like almost 50, such a good swimmer. Like, we lost him so many times. We're in the water with him trying to keep up and just like watch what he's doing, because it's so cool to watch someone do what they're great at.
Yeah.
And we got to like carry the lobsters and the conch shells like back to the boat, and then watch him like prepare conch ceviche like on this boat that's like being jostled in the water. And it was just so fun. But yeah, the shark was due to Jerry, that guide, but I have many other fish pictures on my Instagram that are all credit to Russ Winger, my husband, the guide, in lots of different locations. I love spending time together outside. That's really the root of the fishing.
So he catches most of them, essentially?
I catch them. He guides me, like he coaches me to
on how to do it.
Catching them, yes. And it's actually very fun because he primarily works in the middle of Wyoming, like literally the middle of nowhere. There's no cell service. There's barely Wi-Fi at the house. It's called the Miracle Mile, this gorgeous section of the North Platte River, middle of Wyoming. And when I'm in his boat, there are a lot of other guides around with other clients, like strangers, but I'm a woman in his boat. There aren't a lot of women on the river. And I consistently catch fish in front of all these other people.
I love it.
So it's kind of a performance art, but it's really just spending time together outside. It's my favorite.
Have you considered catching a fish and then rowing the boat to the other guys and taking a selfie with the fish with them?
No.
That would be epic.
They can see what's going on. Like, you don't have to rub their faces in it, because they all, like, their eyes are well trained to like see when the rod's bending, and even if you don't react to a bite, everyone's aware that you've hooked into a fish.
I love that. That is awesome.
It's pretty funny. And we don't only fish outside. We backpack. We take the dog, like right before my second ACL surgery. We went just for a night with Maddie, backpacking, and yeah, just being outside together is my favorite. Fishing is also really fun, especially there in Wyoming with Russ.
What's your favorite fish or the best fish that you've caught?
That I've caught? I caught my PR rainbow trout right before leaving for Tokyo this past summer. Wow. On the Miracle Mile. It's beautiful. I can send you a picture if you want to post that with this podcast.
Listen, I promise you it will be one of the lead pictures if you send that. I promise you. It may be the lead picture. Because that is epic. That is awesome.
It was really fun. Yeah.
So you've caught a shark, you've caught a rainbow trout. People who work in restaurants can barely catch rainbow trout.
Well, why would they? Unless they were interested in fishing. They just have them delivered. Really funny story about my shark in Belize. My left shoulder is my surgical shoulder. I had it fixed in 2015. Terrible, inconvenient injury. But that shark that I'm holding, I feel horrible about this because it's pretty classic me to like, we call it a fish flop. Like sometimes in the fishing world, it's hashtag fish flop Friday. When a client is like holding a fish and it flops out of their hands, it's like just a comedy thing. I dropped the shark in the boat and we throw him back. Like we don't keep the shark. So they're so strong and so amazing. And like, it's a nurse shark, like his skin feels so cool and just different than you would ever expect. Like it's not sandpaper. It's like pebbles, like the rubber balls when you're little that have all the different sides that aren't actually round, bouncy balls. Like that's what this nurse shark feels like. And so I'm holding him for the picture. I dropped him. I don't know if it was like me trying to catch him or like wrangle him in the bottom of the boat to get him back in the water. But my left shoulder has hurt ever since.
Oh.
I have a shark shoulder. It's not that bad. Like it's not that abnormal for this shoulder, but like it was pretty instantaneous and a hilarious injury. It's my shark shoulder.
You can call that a battle wound.
Yeah.
Like that's a sports injury. That's ESPN plays, fishing instead of track and field. Okay, so we're going to call that a sports injury.
Okay.
You're just in the line of battle. That's a shark shoulder. That's just.
And I told my strength coach about it, and so at least once a week he goes, "How's your shark shoulder doing?" It's fine.
I can't fathom catching a shark. That is epic.
Like the reaction, the reflex to try and like grab him out of the air, I must have been it. Too fast twitch. I didn't warm up enough. No,
got to warm up, got to stretch, do calisthenics, got to do all that, crank those push-ups out. Mm-hmm. That's the shark shoulder. That's a sports injury. That's a sports injury. What is it about the outdoors that you love so much?
Well, in Colorado specifically, sunshine. It's amazing. I grew up in Washington, so it rained a lot, and I really love Colorado. I think I've decided that I'm a mountain person rather than a water person. Like I love me a beach vacation, but in terms of every day, like I stare at that Front Range on our walks with Maddie like every day, and I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Russ really did that for me. Like I grew up in a family that liked outside, and we would go camping, and that's fine. But one of my weird quirks is I hate dew, Dominique.
Really? Like the morning dew?
Yes, I hate it.
Really?
I hate it so much because camping in Washington, you wake up and it's just covering the tent. You can't touch the sides of the tent or you will be covered in dew and like wet before you put your clothes on. The sleeping bag will get drips on it. Like dew is the worst and I can't stand it. And when Russ wanted to take me camping in Colorado, I was like, I really like this guy. I guess I'll get dew on myself to spend time with him.
Oh, man.
And then there's no dew because it's very dry and gorgeous. And I love being outside in Colorado.
That is like a Floridian. You can't tell dew from humidity. I get up and 8:00 in the morning, look at the weather. It's 82 with the feel like temperature 91. And I'm sweating and stuff. And it's just like, oh, is that dew? Is that fog? It's like, no, that's humidity. Well, now that you explain it, I mean,
it's just the clouds amongst us. Yeah. And I guess there really isn't a difference. I'm not a humidity person is really what it is. Because that's what dew is the condensation of the air. And yeah, it would either rain or the tent would be covered in dew because it wanted to rain in Washington. And I still love Washington, but I love being outside in Colorado. But yeah, I really liked Russ. He really likes outside. I grew up being outside, but hadn't been exposed to like the more, I guess, epic ways that he spends his time outdoors. I haven't been to like a hunting base camp yet. Like I'm not ready for that. I will be, just to spend time there, like to camp, not necessarily to hunt. But I do love the way that he honors the animals with all of the meat and like literally every part of the animal that he can make use of. It's really amazing. Awesome. But backpacking and, one of our first really big backpacks, it was a 10-mile one way to a high mountain lake for a couple days. And this lake is just notoriously clear. We just like play cards and hang out and
awesome.
Be outside and be together and have no screens. And it's just really the best. I love it.
It's so fun. I've been to Colorado once. Yeah. Senior ski trip. We went to Breckenridge and it was in March. It was beautiful. Like there's nothing. I'm born and raised here in Florida, so people are like, I love the outdoors. It's beautiful. I'm like, so you must live where it's just sunshine and fruity pebbles and all that goodness.
Yeah.
Because I can't breathe in the summer and everything because
I told you I can't do humidity. I can't do it. I don't know how you. It's amazing.
It's difficult. It's something you get used to. Like Christmas Day, it was like 85 degrees or something like that. But now, like, it's supposed to be like 29 in Orlando like this weekend, and everybody's like oh my gosh. And then like I was telling you before, like all my northern friends and friends in Colorado was like, it's -19. Like that is shirt and shorts weather.
Wow. I mean, statement, but yeah, to each their own.
Exactly. See, they need to listen to you. Outside, I went on my first hike in Eugene at the Prefontaine Classic. And it's so beautiful. Like, I think if you lived on the West Coast, especially in Colorado, just the mountain view, just you can go see the mountains. And like, I've never been there in the summer, but just seeing the snow, on the mountaintops and everything, it's like living in a snow globe in Narnia, essentially.
Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah. And when we got engaged, Russ took me backpacking in Washington. So I put up with some dew. It was actually like not that terrible because turns out that good gear also matters. So I can explore more of the world and be comfortable, and that's cool. But yeah, backpacking in Olympic National Park, and exactly like it was very special to me that he like took me to my home state and we had this experience. And then he proposed like in the middle of nowhere, like in the national park, and just us, like just quiet, bears right there. Incredible. So more people should be outside.
Yeah, I don't know about those bears. How did the two of you meet?
Through throwing. We were on the 2006 NACAC under 23 championship team together. We drunkenly made out on the beach.
I love it.
Love at first sight. Like, I mean, maybe not first sight, but like it was very clear very quickly that he was my person for sure.
You hate beaches and you went on the beach, so it was
I did not hate beaches.
You prefer the mountains than the water.
I love a beach vacation. And it was like this epic trip. So Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, bunch of under 23-year-olds, but like 20 and 21-year-olds, college students, just some of the most fun throwers that a lot of people that continued into the professional ranks. So Michelle Carter was on that team, and like she and I have been on 3 of the same Olympic teams. Like we were both American record holders for a long time. Now I am no longer. I've grown up in the sport with Michelle, and she was there to see Russ and I like meet for the first time. I was terrible at that meet. Like I performed awfully. Russ did well. Like all of the men were 1 and 2 at the meet. My maid of honor and his best man were both on that team, Brittany Henry and Adam Keel. And it was just such a good group of people. I think that was like part of the introduction going so well with Russ. But really fun fact, 9 years later, in our first year of marriage, 2015, we both went to senior NACAC championships in Costa Rica. We got to be roommates because we were married, and we both won. And that was like what put him on the world championship team that we finally made together. But it was just so cool because it was like another Latin country. Such a fun experience to be there together, and they loved that we had met at the junior version and that we were there together as seniors.
I was gonna say this is such a Hallmark movie, but that is something for like Lifetime and everything with the alcohol and the beach. That's awesome. See, that's the beautiful thing about throws. It unifies the world. The best people in the world throw. I mean, there's no debate about it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Serious topic. Serious topic. Gotta talk ice cream. We both love Cold Stone.
Indeed.
What is it about that goodness. For me, it's the fact that, you know, they scoop it out, and I'm like a kid at Christmas, or like, you know, watching fried chicken come out of the fryer into the little grease drop thing. And they're taking the ice cream and they're like flipping it like a burger and everything. And it's like custom made. I tried to do that at home. Don't do that at your house. There's a
You
reason.
can't do it. It's like a sandwich. Like if someone else makes it for you, it's better. It's exactly the same thing.
I'm, you know, out here using spatulas with Publix ice cream, trying to flip it and all that stuff, and it's just all over the kitchen sink. What is it about Cold Stone that is near and dear to your heart and soul?
I think it's a consistency thing. Excuse me. And I don't mean like the consistency of the ice cream. I mean, I know it's a chain. I know it's like, it's not homemade or whatever, but it's the same everywhere I go. It's a comfort that I know I'm going to Cold Stone. They're going to make birthday cake remix specifically for me. Like you said, it's a custom. I'm taken care of. Just, you're doing exactly what I said. I'm watching it happen. The anticipation of seeing it on the cold slab, the stone, and then in the cup. Usually they're going to go from like it to love it.
Yes.
And that's a great thing for a thrower. So it's definitely a treat. I really, yeah.
If Cold Stone could sponsor Kara and I would really appreciate it. It's her last season. She deserves the best. And, you know, I just want free ice cream on the show.
We could, yeah, we'll do reviews of each of the specialty mixes, recipes.
Yes, and then we can crank it out. We can like talk it through like Ben and Jerry in our custom or like custom made ice cream that could, you know, be sold like a throwers. What is like Rapper's Delight, Throwers Delight.
Yeah. Cold Stone for me is definitely, it's a treat. It's not an all the time thing. I like it so much better. Like I'm not a huge store-bought ice cream, bring it home, dryers kind of situation fan. Russ is, like, he loves ice cream, but I would much rather like get in my car, drive to Cold Stone, get it, or like I did when I had COVID, order it via Uber Eats and pay a lot more money than it should be worth to get it delivered to my house, because I want to feel that comfort, that custom comfort.
It's like Christmas in a cup.
So good.
Are you a cone or a cup person?
Cup, definitely.
My girl, right there. I hate ice cream cones.
Such a strong. I hate you. You hate ice cream cones.
I hate ice cream cones like you hate dew. Like literally, honestly, waffle cones. Let's get rid of waffle cones and honeydew because they remind us of the things that we hate. Yeah. I don't know. You can't get goodness in a cone. Like it's
like there's not enough sugar in the cone to make it worth your time. So why are you eating it? Why?
It disrupts the texture of the ice cream.
And it's sharp. I have sensitive gums and stuff. Yep. I don't want to be stabbed in the mouth.
Yeah, you know, it's not like the dentist is cheap. You know, and I'm not a fan of going to the dentist because it's very painful, and so to put myself through that pain is something that I want to enjoy. It's don't eat it every day. It is a treat, as you said. It's comfort food. So why would I want to insert violence into the ice cream community?
Right. I will put up with a brain freeze. I don't want to be stabbed in the roof of my mouth.
Exactly. And I don't understand why more people are not bringing awareness to this. I am anti-cone. The Duke cone, we got to get rid of that. We got to get rid of that. I
really feel like this is going to affect your chance at a Cold Stone sponsorship. Like you might have to represent the entire organization.
But you see, Cold Stone, I'm not talking about the ice cream. Because you do something unique, something that is fresh, that no other people do. I am talking about the people who have made you all use this cone instead of the cone. And so my pitch to them is let people enjoy the flavor of the ice cream by getting rid of
what you do well. Yes.
Or what they've done, crack that cone open and put it on the side of the cup.
Like a chip, like a
chip.
cone chip. Okay, I'm on board with that.
Yes.
It would break so fast, like it would not hold up to the ice cream.
But here's the thing, that's the good thing about it, because the cone will get soggy enough to where it doesn't crunch your teeth. And you know how sometimes you have ice cream that kind of pours to the side?
Mm-hmm.
It is like the wall that prevents it from spilling over. So like
the sponge for ice cream,
or like like a taco bowl, but with a cone.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. So before I really mess up my chances for a sponsorship if I have. We still love you, Cold Stone. I still love you. What is the go-to flavor for
birthday cake remix? Like only. That's the only thing I've eaten for like at least 8 years.
I've never had that before.
You must.
You see,
there are brownies and sprinkles. And
hold on. I did. I think I have a picture of it. I did this summer.
That's how much you enjoyed it.
Yes,
yeah.
I think I took a selfie with it.
So good.
It was because usually I do the cookies and cream, or basic, just do the vanilla. But yes, I did have that, and I was astonished at how good it was. The problem with Cold Stone is it has a quick shelf life. But man, that was incredible. It was. And they were selling out of it like it was. I'm just thankful that I was one of the fortunate participants in such greatness, and then I went out of my comfort zone to do that. So before I stop the show so I can go get ice cream, even though I think they're kind of closed now, I'm going to ask you this question, then we're going to wrap this up with a bow, with some rapid fire. There were so many great moments in the Olympics, but for me personally, one of the best moments was to see you get rewarded for your hard work and, like I said, your genuineness to your teammates across USA Track and Field, and getting a chance to carry the flag at the closing ceremonies. It was like the coolest thing ever. And I think it sent a powerful message. You know, we were talking about, everybody's like, oh, you got to win medals to have an impact. No, you don't. What you did will last longer than any medal that anyone could win. What was that moment like for you, and that opportunity like?
I will never have anything happen to me that's more meaningful than that. To understand that all of Team USA, like I've been a training center athlete for 13 years, and I interact with Olympians, Paralympians, wrestlers, swimmers, Taekwondo athletes, modern pentathletes, like gymnasts, every sport under the sun, like I have seen in an elevator or in sports med or whatever. And you just never know how much someone else is paying attention to your story. Like we all live in our own little bubbles. We're all like selfish human creatures. And some of the only reasons that I've like truly gotten what I consider to be everything out of each Olympic experience that I've had is by paying attention to other people's stories. So for people to see me in that way means more than I can ever imagine. Like I won't ever not cry about it, because I am so proud of getting there to Tokyo, but it wasn't the dream. Like I was 11 months post-op. I had giant dreams, and you know, my career had so much promise before I hurt my knee the first time. So there's always been this underlying unfulfilled potential, like deep ache in me. And to have so many people say you matter and your journey is also important and representative of this team is unbelievable. And just the kindest, most amazing thing I will ever experience. It wasn't about like carrying the flag into the stadium. It was about like all of the messages that I got from teammates who also hadn't been on the podium. Like I mentioned that said like this vote, like this election means that my journey mattered too. for 16 years, of preparation for games, of participating in games, to have all of those former teammates like feel that way is so important to me, and to be that person that like represents that story for them is such a giant honor. Like I can't even describe it. I cried for days and days and days. Like the first step of that, being named team captain of USATF, was like mind-blowing in itself. Like that was the first step, and that is the only reason that I was elected flag bearer, because the diverse, amazing, incredible, talented women of track and field like chose me. That's wild and so cool, and such a neat like vote of friendship. Like that's what it is. Like I've always loved being around those women, and the fact that they felt the same way is very humbling and cool.
I remember seeing the tweet. I forgot who the person was, but he told you that you were, named a flag bearer. And I'm like sitting in my room, like crying and everything. Like, why am I getting so emotional of this? But it was just such a remarkable moment. I followed the throws for years, and obviously, like I said, I've the more you know about certain events, the more you want to watch it, because the more entertaining it becomes. The Javelin was one of those events, and you've represented, Team USA so well, and have been such a great ambassador that it was great to see you get an opportunity to experience that well-deserved moment. And yeah, it's just something I definitely had to ask you about, because it was truly remarkable, and really, really, really happy for you.
Thanks.
But we have come to the end of the road, and what I do, there's a segment that it's so sad that this is my show that I forgot the segment, but it is called Down the Home Stretch. Down the Home Stretch. I am going to ask you a few rapid fire questions. I would like for you to answer them to the best of your ability. If you do not, it is no concern, no problem, because no one ever does. Are you ready?
No one ever does. Okay, now
let me say.
Challenge.
Well, you're the first Olympian on this show, so it's about to go down. I have to say nobody. I think two people did. Dana and someone else. But still, I'm excited for you to challenge that record. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
If you had to pick a food that you could live with and a food that you could do without, what would they be?
I would live with pizza and without pickles.
Okay. Favorite, the last TV show that you've binge watched?
The Morning Show season 2. I'm currently on Girls 5 Eva.
Ooh, okay. Morning Show with Reese Witherspoon and
Jennifer Aniston. Yes. Yeah. Season 2 was terrible. I really didn't like it. It's fine.
Okay. Won't be watching that. Okay. What is your dream vacation spot?
I love Belize. It's so fun. This is our second time there.
If you had to be a guest on one show, what would it be?
TV show or?
TV. It could be anything. It could be a TV series. It could be anything. And I can make the question more broad if that helps.
No, I really want to be on Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me on NPR. The NPR news quiz.
Okay. I like that. Best place to hike?
The Crags Trail on the backside of Pikes Peak, Colorado. It's where Maddie and I go a lot. We're going to go snowshoeing there soon.
Snowshoeing. Okay. What is the ideal season for you?
August.
August. Interesting. So
August/September, but early September.
Early September. Is it a weather thing or?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Well, couple more questions. If there was a trend that you wanted to get rid of, what would it be? And if there was a trend that you wanted to bring back, what would it be?
I really don't like the current jeans situation. I'm not a fan. It doesn't work on my body. Never did. Doesn't still. The acid wash with the high waist and all that. It's not okay for me. Get rid of it. No more. Thank you. Okay. What would I bring back? I'm not so good at the trends. Like I don't. Tearaway pants. Tearaway sweatpants.
That's vintage. I like that. Just like the Indiana Hoosiers, just rip them off.
Convenient.
Head to the throws pit. I had a pair of those in high school. Used to whip those bad boys off like I was good, and then would scratch on the next discus throw. I like that. Love it, love it, love it. If there was an event that you could compete in that you haven't, what would it be?
Ooh. There used to be meets in Greece that like paid pretty well and were in gorgeous, gorgeous places. And then they went bankrupt as a country and they never happened again. So I wish that I could go there and had gone there.
Last question. Why is the javelin the best event in track and field?
Because it is a sprint, a jump, and a throw in one movement.
That is the fastest that anyone has ever answered the rapid fire questions.
Yeah.
You are the winner. You are the GOAT, the GOAT, greatest of all time.
Thank you very much.
No cap. Debate your mama on that one. That is it. Tell the people where they can find you on social media, Kara.
I am mostly at Kara Throws Jav. That's Kara Throws Jav, Jav. I believe it's a little bit different on Facebook, but if you search Kara Winger, you will find me. And I never post on my Facebook. My website is karawinger.com, and I will be posting a lot more there. I have a lot of updates to do and a really important blog to me to write very soon in the lead up to this season. So karawinger.com.
Y'all be sure to follow her. This is her last season. It's going to be the best season. You definitely do not want to miss that. Greatness awaits. I appreciate you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us here on the show, for blessing the show with the Olympic presence. We're official now since we have the GOAT on the show. You guys do me a favor. Thank you for your support, but I need you to go to the Lactic Acid Podcast on Instagram, Lactic Acid _pod on Twitter. Go ahead and follow that. I'm on TikTok, Lactic Acid Podcast. I don't know what I'm doing, but go ahead and follow that. What else am I on that I need you to follow? Yeah, go to Apple, go to Spotify, go to Google Play, type in Lactic Acid Podcast with Dominique Smith. Subscribe so you can hear more great episodes like this one. Stay tuned to what we're doing. LacticAcidPodcast.org is the website where you can find everything that you need. Thank you guys so much, and we will catch you next time.